Good day. By now, you have gone through Welcome to Finance 315. You've gone through the syllabus. You've completed getting to know each other. And hopefully you've identified an individual you will work with. And if you have, please let me know. So after you've gone through the macro overview, you've done what is analysis, framework, we're now down to sources of information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by using real information and show you what I'm going to do. The company that I'm going to work with over the semester is Steel Dynamics. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my Steel Dynamics. I've been here before. And what it does is it comes up with their homepage and it tells you a lot about the company. But the thing that we're going to want to look at is if you go up to here, so it's investors. And investors is going to have a lot of different information. We're going to focus on starting with the SEC filings. So if we click on SEC filings, what happens is we come up with all the reports that Steel Dynamics has filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. They file these are requirements for publicly held companies to disclose information to the public that may be meaningful. Now, there's all different types of reports that we can see, but what we're going to focus on is quarterly reports, 10Qs, but the starting point will be our 10K annual report. So you click on 10K, we'll do a search, and we find the annual reports. Now, for those of you that have taken Finance 311 with me, this is a review. So the next couple sections, you're going to find that you already should know this material and have a head start. So when we look at it, it was filed on 2/27. It's the annual report. It's available in an Adobe file, a Word file, an Excel file. Now, depending on what we're doing, we may want to use one or the other. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the 10K. And when you start out with the 10K, let me make this a little bigger. There we go. Is that each company in the U.S. that's publicly held has to file reports with the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is the 10K, which is the annual report, and it tells you the legal name of the company, where they're located, their taxpayer identification number. You need to keep your Social Security number confidential. They have to publish theirs. So they go through and they talk about a lot of stuff, but this is the table of contents. And what I want to do here is the first section is about the business. So what you can do is you come here and you read about the company. They tell you what are the key things they're trying to do. What are their values? What is their direction? You keep going. What is their competitive strength? Okay, and in this case, one of the lowest cost steel providers in the U.S. State-of-the-art facilities allowing for low production costs. They then talk about how they do it. They talk about their product mix, their locations, their management. So this piece here, what industry are they in? So that gives us, that's the first part. The most important thing you can do when you start out analyzing the company that you're doing is understanding the business. So you want to read that carefully. So that's the first thing you want to look at is the business. Now, what we find is there's a lot of other information here. I'm going to highlight the key things. Some information is what's called selected. So if we click on this, it's very high level information that is provided. Now, this can be useful as you start out, but we want to try to dig deeper. But when we look at it, and here's an example, is we're trying to see what the company did. So we have 5 years of information, and it's at a fairly high level. But the other thing that it's telling us is not only financial data, but operating data. We want to try to find out this operating data in every firm we look at. But this is summary information, okay? So that's not what we want to use all the time. We want to go deeper, and we want to get back into the full-size financial statements. Now, is management's discussion and analysis. So in this, management tells you what's going on. Okay? They give you detail, they can give you charts, they give you information. So after you read, you're going to read, start now, you're going to read with the business. After you read the business, you're going to go on to management discussion and analysis of financial condition and results of operation. So you're going to do that. After you do that, and not before, we're going to then go to the consolidated financial statements. And when we get here, we're going to see a report from the auditors, which we will talk about at some point. What the balance sheet is, statement of income, statement of comprehensive income, statements of equity, consolidated statements of cash flow. We'll go through some of these as we look. But the second thing is to read the footnotes. These may be one of the most boring things you do, but it tells you the answer to almost everything. So if we go back up, business, the three things you want to do now for the company you're assigned. Business, selected financial data, management discussion and analysis, consolidated financial statements, notes. So that's the SEC. Just a brief introduction. You're going to get to know this pretty good. So we come back to investors, and we can see investor presentations. So we bring it up, and it's right here. And in this case, we click. And what it does, it's forward-looking, and here's the disclosure. It talks about the company and on a very high level. But it gives us information on where they're going, what's important to them, what are they going to do long term. So you want to read this. So the starting point for all of the different things we're going to do is looking at the 10K in the investor presentation. Don't shortchange this part. Spend time on it. This is going to take you, I'll tell you, 2 to 3 hours to do. At least. Don't shortchange yourself in this area. There's information. You can listen to conference calls. Every quarter, the firm has a conference call with analysts to give them information. So let's just go back for a moment here. This talks about what I just used. If you're in GENESEO, the Bloomberg terminal can be used. The Wall Street Journal, Morningstar, and analyst reports can be useful. They shouldn't be the authoritative source about the company. That should be done the 10K, the investor presentation. Yahoo Finance can be used, but financial data is aggregated into general categories, which doesn't reflect the specific detail that may be meaningful for a deep dive into the numbers. Again, if you've taken Finance 311 with me, this is a review. If you have any questions, please let me know.